Nobody in this world is the same. Nobody looks the same. Nobody talks the same. Nobody acts the exact same way. And neither does anybody's past in life. Nothing is the exact same. Because of these differences in everybody's life, you cannot catch yourself being embarrassed for the route that you're taking. Your path can be predetermined from things outside of your control. Things like, where you were raised, what school you went to, the type of people you were around in your neighborhood. All those things are against your control. And it can be easy to find yourself in comparison with someone else who was born better off from the start, who maybe had it made easier, or maybe things just seem to go their way even though they don't put out much effort. Sadly, even as annoying as it is, there will always be people who just get things better off, even if they don't put as much effort as you. And the quicker you can accept that that's the case, the sooner you'll be able to appreciate and just focus on your own path and get rid of this terrible mindset of you have it terrible off because this guy had it a little bit better than you. Comparison is a super easy thing to fall into. It's simple. Why would I not be jealous if someone has it better than me? I may feel like I'm doing everything in the world correctly, but this person just gets benefits. It is not fair, but that's also just the way life is. Sometimes life will feel like that it picked favorites, and that you're frustrated that other people are getting better opportunities than you, and you look at your situation and you feel embarrassed. You might think you're behind or that everyone around you is doing better than you, but in reality, that's just not the case. The reality is you're doing things at your own pace that the world intends you to be at, and everything will fall into place eventually, just maybe not for you at this moment. Good things come for those who are patient, and it's easy to want to rush things because other around you already have it, but that's not when your time was destined to be. So don't try to make it. Your time one day will inevitably come, and it's hard to not be embarrassed when you feel like you're behind, but you're way less behind than you really think you are. So, a reality in my life for me is that I'm not the best athlete in the world. I play sports, I'm decent at them, but I've never been a standout guy who's going to go play at some university or anything like that. And in fact, I've always been on the more middle ground side of that spectrum. And it has always frustrated me because sometimes I feel like there's a guy who's, maybe 2 grades younger than me, who's getting way better treatment, maybe even better at the game, has all these offers, and I get jealous. I get insecure of my own position because everything's around me looks better and they have what I want in that moment. And I think anyone would get frustrated. Of course, you're going to be embarrassed and annoyed and everything if someone who you believe deep down shouldn't have what they have but do, and it pisses you off because you think you should. Through my sports career with football and track, there's been many times where my brain has got obsessed with the idea between varsity and JV. There's been times when some of my friends made varsity team and I'm still in the JV team for whatever reason, and I was embarrassed. I felt embarrassed to put my face around people. I felt embarrassed to show my face in public because I felt like that wasn't good enough. I felt like I wasn't where I should be and where I thought I was gonna be, and this didn't feel like the right place for my life. I was in such a depressive state for months because I felt embarrassed with my own well being that it was hard for me to even exit the house. It was hard for me to fit in at social events with my friends, and it just made my feel life it was incomplete. It feels like something in the process went wrong and I'm not at the right spot I should be. But the reality of that problem is I was exactly where I should have been. I was exactly where time had, whatever fate had put me at, I was exactly where I needed to be. And it took me a long time to realize that and to let go of envy. As long as you're alive and that you're pursuing challenging things, there will always, 100% of the time, be someone better than you. And at some point, you just gotta accept that. You gotta say, it's okay, this guy's got me in this area, but I may have him in this area. Just because somebody is ahead of you doesn't mean that you're behind. It just means that they're ahead of you at that moment. Now, in this moment, you might not be exactly where you want to be at, but this is where you're at right now, and this is where you were supposed to be by fate, and it all has a meaning. Everywhere you're at, every situation you experience, and everything you go through has some sort of meaning in the long run. You're at where you are right now because you were supposed to be. It may not feel like it. It may feel like shit because you're embarrassed. Or this you don't think this person deserves it over you. You are tired of people judging you. You feel like you're embarrassing people that you're friends with. You feel like you let yourself down. You may feel like that, but I guarantee you this is where you were supposed to be. For some reason you may not know yet, but you will one day. Going back to the sports analogy I made earlier, another point I want to make on that is that I got nowhere by fighting against my fate. And that's not to say, not to fight for what you think you deserve, right? There was definitely times where I thought I didn't get handed the right cards, and I talked to my coaches about it and try to come to some sort of middle ground. But at the end of the day, when it comes to my mental growth, the thing that held me back the most was never accepting that, okay, I'm here right now, I can make the most of my opportunity. I can make the most of where I'm at right now. Instead, I shunned away from anything that had to do with my current position because I felt it wasn't enough. If you hate where you're at right now, if you think this is so bad, I don't want to be here, I feel like I can be so much more, then be so much more. Take every second that you have in the current space you're in and make it worth something. Don't just loaf around and throw a pity party because you're embarrassed of where you're at. I get it. I've been there, and the best answer is to do something about it. Because I didn't, and I know it got me nowhere. I was stuck in sand longer than I should have been if I had just learned to accept my place and grow from where I'm at instead of crying about it and praying for a better opportunity. Because that's not going to come. I'd say like maybe 0.5% of the time, you'll get some stroke of luck that gets you out of your hole. But most of the time, you're at where you are because that's where you got placed, and whatever you had done in the past put you there. Whether it was not training enough, whether it was going to a school that had shitty coaches who don't look at the right people, that's I mean those previous actions, whether your fault or not, are what put you where you're at. So your only option is to make sure do with what you got, and if you want a new reality, you want to be in a different part of your path, then go make it happen. I say all this because I want anyone who's watching this video right now who can relate to the situation and do better off and handle it better than I did. I handled it poorly. I threw a pity party and I didn't make the most of where I was at. I was embarrassed of my situation and let it weigh on me. And I'm here to tell you that you are going to be okay. You are not behind. You are worth something, and where you're at is okay. It is good. And I'll also say to you that it's good that you're not comfortable. It's good that you're not complacent with where you're at right now because you want better for you. You want to do better things than you've been given, and you think you deserve more. That's awesome. That's what successful people think like. Moral of the story is don't be embarrassed of your path because it's no one else's, it's yours. There's no one else who's experiencing the same things you do in the exact order, in the same way, with the same feelings. You don't compare to anyone else, and no one compares to you. It's okay to want more for yourself, but where it becomes a problem is when you're so blinded by wishing there was something else that you don't accept the reality of where you're at right now. You're at where your feet are, and you need to learn to live like that. It's okay to wish you had it better, to know you can get better, and to strive for that. But you have to understand that this path is your path, and you're here for a reason. And instead of moping about it and wishing there was change, look at your current situation and make the most of it to push you to where you want to be. Where you're at is okay, it's where you were supposed to be. You don't need to get comfortable and sit there forever, but you can be content knowing that this is where you're supposed to be in this point in time. Love you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.